Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 87. Before we begin though, I do have to apologize for not uploading last week. We basically just had PC issues on our side. Again, I should have mentioned this in the group chat, but again I was just rushing around trying to sort it out, but it looks like we're back online and everything's running okay. So I don't think there was too much happening last week, but I guess we're pretty much are looking now into some big moves happening right now. So what I've noticed throughout the week is some good turnarounds, and if you have been following our other week's videos, we have been mentioning a new longer term shift in a couple of pairs. So hopefully you guys will be able to see that, and if not, I'll just quickly highlight that over just to give you guys a refresher. So we are going to start off with gold, and yeah, we're going to pretty much work our way through the pairs. So what we were looking at from last week, we were essentially we were looking at a sell-off opportunity, and that was if we could have seen price held 1840. Now we've had price push into this zone here, so it's not really too clear for me where price is going to go. So what I'm looking out for now is just to go on the basis of this prior move towards the upside. I want to see if price can continue to push higher, because if we can break this 1840 barrier, it could lead us into entering this space here. So if we scroll across, we've got the highs that we've made from June, so we could potentially break it, and we could push higher into it. So again, it really just depends, but I'm not really focusing on how far this can go. My first kind of take profit level is just to see what happens to 1840. So from that, I'm just going to leave it at this. I'm not really too keen on discussing any other scenarios for now. I think I'm just going to focus on how we've had this massive rejection on the 1680, and it pretty much pushed up all the way up into the 1840 zone. And yeah, so what we could be looking in for is a potential buy opportunity. Again, it really depends how far this wants to drop. But if we do get a good opportunity, that's 500 pips or so. So again, that could be one to look out for. So yeah, matching it on to some other pairs now. So we'll take a look at EURUSD. So what I was looking out for through the other week for EURUSD was a sell-off opportunity. And what I was mentioning about this pair was just this new long-term shift, which was this new trend happening right now. So this here. So what I was expecting was price to make one more low before taking its way towards the upside. And I was looking at 1.16, but we pretty much found all that we needed at 1.17, and it pretty much took our way into 1.19. So I think what the best scenario is, again, utilizing the same kind of process is for gold, is to wait for price to potentially drop a bit lower and then watch for that continuation higher. So I think that this is potentially the start of this new longer term trend, in which we anticipate price to reach 1.235, which is all the way above here. So again, if we scroll all the way back, which is that high here. So again, we've got a long way to go, so this won't happen all in one overnight. It will take some gradual time. So yeah, we'll see where this can go and where price can push into, but essentially price has to just stay above this low here. So again, about 1.165, and if we could stay above this, we should be able to find some continuations higher. So I think this one will be a very good trade to watch out for. On a quick note, let's take a look at the pip count of potential So wow, this could be a really good one. Again, it really depends if you can hold trades long enough. I personally can't. I like to lock in some profits along the way, but again, if you're a long-term trader, do what you need to do. So moving on to NZDUSD. So it's a similar process again. Again, we looked at a sell-off opportunity, was expecting one more low before potentially making this new shift, and pretty much it's just continued to push higher and higher. So we're going to take on this approach with EURUSD. We can get rid of this, can get rid of that. We can pretty much use this annotation. So again, it's not necessarily true that price will drop this much down, but essentially the bias is that we're looking for buying opportunities. So whether that price drops really low or really low, or just a little bit. It really depends what what the market really wants to do. And then in terms of targets, we're looking for this zone to be targeted, so roughly at 0.75. So again, we do have some good lengths to go in for this. So this buying opportunity is valid if we stay above 0.68, and I think personally we should be able to start to see that continuation now, especially as we've seen that that bullish momentum. The RSI is looking good. I think it looks quite healthy actually. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here with this one actually. So yeah, we'll keep in mind with this, and I think across the board, the whole the gold, EURUSD, NZDUSD, AUDJPY, I think they're all pretty much shifting towards the upside. So I think if we can get in at least one of those pairs, I think you'll be able to capture some large profits overall. And I think this is where we come into September time, where August. The banks are pretty much slowing down. So I don't know if you guys notice, but I always say that around July, August time, it's a very slow period. Typically because the banks and the institutions are not really in play right now. They're I say they're on holiday, but you don't really know, do you? But again, I use that period as a as a judgment of what's happening in the market. And for me, I noticed that there was a lot of slow moving action, but now that we're stepping into mid-September, it's quite clear that there's some new trends forming. So I'll be quite excited to be a part of some of these moves. So yeah, so let's take a look into AUD. Again, it's a similar process. We can get rid of this annotation, but again, we were looking for one more move to the downside, but we can see price clearly pushed up higher. So we've broken the 0.74 barrier, and again, we're pretty much looking for a similar situation where price is just looking for maybe one push lower before we look for that buying opportunity. So again, a possible retracement, and then we can look for a long opportunity. And again, this is only valid if we stay above 0.71. And yeah, we'll see if we can. Again, if you do want to hold this, it's another thing in itself, but again, we're looking to target 0.8, so again, it's all the way up to this upside, and I'm personally anticipating price to break this and go above and beyond. So again, there's going to be multiple opportunities to get in on this, and I'm hoping that we can get in. Yeah, we'll see how far we can get in on this move. So let's take a look into USDJPY. So for this pair, we've pretty much been in a range bound market, so not really been we haven't really been moving any direction at all. I think personally USDJPY has always been quite choppy when it gets into that phase of consolidation. So what I'm personally looking into is this scenario, the second scenario that I've drawn from the other week. So essentially I'm looking for a break towards the upside and then a potential break to the downside. again, this is a few moves in advance, but you know, I'm not saying price is definitely going to go to here and then turn over and then drop to this level and then go higher. Essentially, we're expecting price to drop lower before we can get a buy, and we're aiming to take out 112. So again, this level here, and again a few pips here, but let me just check. 200-300 pips. Again, it's a nice reward, but it really depends, you know, if this scenario does play out. But for now, I think this one's going to be a long burner. It's going to take some time to pretty much do its thing, but we could expect price to possibly jump into and react off the 111 zone, and then drop down into 109, into 108, even 108.5, and yeah, we'll see if this plays out, of course. So that's my kind of route. I think it's pretty much similar from the other week, but yeah. So yeah, now let's move on to CADJPY. So for this pair, I've had two states in mind for this one. Again, it really depends on price action. So what I'm keen to see for now is to see if we have any ability to break the 85 zone. Sorry, the 88.5 zone. I think this should indicate some bullish activity, and we could end up pushing higher and higher. But if we start to drop lower and lower and take out this low, then this scenario will hold, in the sense where we wait for this break lower, so 84.5 or 85, and then we wait for a retest and we take some sells. But the other opportunity that we could keep in hand or keep in mind is an upside opportunity, in the sense where we wait for price to dip just a little bit lower, and essentially, you know, this is coming off the basis of this strength in the market here. So the 20th of August, we've had quite bullish price action, and it's leveled off. So it really depends if price wants to continue to push higher, or if it wants to push lower and take out some more lows. And yeah, we can pretty much be quite flexible about this. So this pair is quite in the back of my mind for now. So let's take a look at EURJPY. I'm just going to take a few. So yeah, so for this one, I'm quite happy with the action of like the last few weeks. We've had price pushing higher and higher. I think from last week we was expecting that drop off so that we can look for that buying opportunity, and I think it's only been through last week where prices eventually start to drop. So we can pretty much just move this aside. Let's just move this across. So we're essentially looking for a similar setup, in the sense where we're looking for a buying opportunity. Now this one is going to be a bit tricky, but it really depends how strong price action moves above 131. If we start to see a lot of price action moving, then we could expect price to hit 134 and take out this high. But again, we're just going to have to trail our stops and not really rush this one, because we have to be mindful that price could flip towards the downside, and again, it could happen in the sense where if price does push higher, there is a possibility that we could get some rejections and push lower and then have that buy higher. So that's something that that's in my mind, but again, I'm trying to keep it simple for now for you guys, and that's pretty much just looking at a simple buying opportunity. And if we start to break above 131, I would just secure some profits at least, and then in the event where price does drop rapidly, you guys should be covered, and then we can look at some, you know, potential scenarios to the downside again. But it really just depends what happens, I guess. But yeah, so moving on to NZDJPY. Now I was looking for price to drop off lower a bit more consistently, but I'm quite mindful of this move towards the upside. So again, I'm in two states of mind right now, so let me just explain what I mean. So as you can see, price is dropping, forcefully pushing up higher, and it's quite strong, and we're close to the high that we made in May. So there is this possibility where price could break this high, and if so, we could have this bullish potential to continuate and push higher. So in this case, we could be looking at a buying opportunity if we can get a nice drop off. So if we can get price to push lower, like so, and then rally up. So the second scenario is that if price starts to maybe push up just a little bit more, but then starts to drop off rapidly, we'll just wait for a retest, and then we could potentially see price drop lower and take out this low, so at 74.5 or 74, and that could be your target. So really you need to be careful of this space here, and if we can break that 80 barrier, it'll be very significant because we should be able to continue it and push higher. So that's ideally where I'm looking at with that pair. Again, not really again, I'm not really trying to take advantage of this move just yet, because we still need to wait for a bit of a bigger drop. Excuse me, a bigger drop. We just need to wait for some sort of buying opportunity first. So again, we still have to stay patient with this pair. So yeah, let's move on to AUDJPY. So we've drawn a channel here, and again, I think what we was looking at is a retest of this, but we didn't really find that. We clearly burst through that, and we started to violate some of the channel retest rules. So we can get rid of this channel now, and I think it's clear to say that, well, it's clear that we are potentially pushing higher. So again, it's coming on with this long-term shift that we've drawn, that we could potentially start to see price drop lower before we end up aiming higher. So I think if AUDJPY is flowing in this manner, and if it pushes up high, then there is a possibility, or a higher possibility, that NZDJPY could have a similar correlation with this. So this is why I think a buying opportunity would be good, and again, this is valid for 78 flat. So if price stays above 78, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities in this pair. So moving on to the last two pairs, so USDCHF. So this one has been quite tricky. Again, this one really has been consolidated a lot, just like USDJPY. So I think for me, I probably will stay out of this one until it's quite clear. It's just unfortunate that price is just moving in this way. I don't really want to be a part of this right now. But what I've got in my notes, let me just quickly check. So one possibility that I've got in mind is this possibility where price drops low and then pushes up and then starts that rally. But the other scenario is it breaks this low and then pushes higher. So again, it depends which barrier it breaks, the 0.91 barrier or the 0.90 barrier, and that's where I'm probably going to put all my attention on. And if we start to get into that level and break these levels, that's when I will consider looking at buying opportunities. If we start to break higher, then it's just unfortunate that we've missed that. But if we break that 91, there it's going to signal for me a nice buying opportunity, potentially, if we can get in, obviously. And then if we break in 0.90, again, we'll be trying to look for that buying opportunity. But again, this could still drop lower. This analysis needs to be taken with precaution. Don't just start buying, and that just goes with all of our analysis, obviously. But yeah, so quite mindful of this strength in the market here. So hopefully it could continue to rally up. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this. So yeah, looking at final pair USD CAD. So this one, there's two possibilities that I have drawn. So for this one, there is a possibility of price let me get rid of this. Sorry, delete. So there is a possibility where price makes its way towards the upside and then drops lower and then pushes higher. Or the second scenario, which is much more bullish, following this, this bullish pressure and these two candles, is that we will just start to see price run away from us, and then essentially what we'll have to do is just wait for a re-entry. So we could look at a sell opportunity there and a buying opportunity, but if price does push higher, then unfortunately we may have just missed this move. And we'll just have to wait for a simple retest. But I think this scenario could happen, and again, if it's basically if we break the this high here, so at 1.295, that's when this move will be considered a retest trade, where we look at something like this, like that. But again, that usually takes time. So again, I wouldn't really rush trying to get into this and FOMO into buying, because anything can happen. It could be even break up higher then drop low. So that's why I would just be careful of where you're entering into the markets. So yeah, guys, that will be it for this week. Again, I do apologize for not uploading last week. That was just PC issues on my side. But yeah, everything's running back to normal. So yeah, we should be running our videos as usual timing. So again, I do appreciate your time for listening, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, consider subscribing if you need to. And if you have any other comments or questions you'd like to answer, leave that in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can do. So thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you all in our next week's video.